Greetings everyone, welcome to our statistics video review. Today we'll be talking about planning and conducting surveys. We'll cover the characteristics of a well-designed and well-conducted survey, what a population is, sources of bias, and so much more. Stay tuned to hear what I like to call the greatest statistics video review ever. Heck yeah! Surveys are a great tool to measure behaviors and traits of a certain group of people. However, in order for the results to have any validity, certain measures must be taken. Those measures are what we're going to be going over in this video review.
The first thing you do when conducting a survey is identify your population, which is a group you'll be making a conclusion about in your survey. For example, if you want to see how students at CCA get to school, your population would be CCA students. This is also sometimes referred to as a scope of inference. However, it's pretty hard to sample the entire population when it's thousands of students, and in some surveys, it's even more extreme. This is where random sampling comes in. A sample is a small portion of individuals within the population that we survey to represent the entire population. However, there are right and wrong ways to obtain a sample. Let's start with the wrong ones.
One thing that all bad sampling methods have in common is they contain bias. In a statistical context, bias is using a sampling method that systematically favors certain results or answers over the others. One example of a method that shows bias is a convenience sample. A convenience sample, like its name suggests, is one in which the subjects are selected for the surveyor's convenience. Using the CCA students getting to school as an example, if I were surveying, I could ask this class to respond to the survey because it's easy. I don't need to go anywhere or do any additional work because I'm already here in the class. However, since we mainly have upperclassmen in here, a higher percentage of people will say that they drive, as opposed to the entire population of the school, overrepresenting the students who drive to school in the population.
Another sampling method that shows bias is voluntary response samples. This is where surveyors will send out a survey and people have the option to respond. But the issue is, only people who feel strongly about the question care enough to respond. So we get people who are passionate about the question or issue at hand, rather than a representation of the general population, which may be more moderate or apathetic. Another source of bias that goes beyond the sampling method is the wording of the question. For example, asking a sample, how many hours are you on your phone per day, versus most people spend an hour on their phone a day, how many hours are you on your phone per day, those will yield dramatically different responses. People want to fit in by nature, so many will respond similarly to the statistic given in the latter question, rather than honestly to the former question. This will lead to a misleading representation of the population's phone use.
So if that's how not to sample, then how do you sample? One method that's quite popular is the simple random sample, where everyone in the population has an equal chance of being selected. For example, drawing 10 equally sized slips from a hat containing 100 would be random sampling. Within an SRS, there can't be any repeated numbers. They have to be unique, or extraneous values, where a number you select outside of what you're trying to draw. For example, a random number generator generates 158 when you're looking for numbers from 1 to 100. Another unbiased sampling method is using a stratified random sample. This is where you take the population and put them into subgroups, strata, and pick a random sample from each stratum. Going back to the CCA students getting to school survey, the strata could be grades, and you randomly sample an equal amount of students from each grade. One method that's a little bit easier to pull off is a cluster sample, where you take clusters of data or subjects that are near each other. Using this example, we could talk about classes. We could randomly sample 5 classes and have their response as our data.
Now let's use this knowledge in an actual AP problem. This is question number 2 from the 2013 AP exam. It's a great question to test your knowledge of the concepts in the video as it goes over bias, bad sampling methods, and appropriate sampling methods. Go over this question and see how you do. Thanks so much for watching.
Really, we do appreciate it.